So we have a really beautiful building here. We've been really fortunate about it. But when we moved in here, we wanted to make sure that we use the space as fully as we can. We weren't keen on teachers disappearing into their classrooms. Because we'd been in a temporary building, we've had to share everything. We wanted to make sure that that stayed part of the life of the school, even though we were now in this beautiful state-of-the-art building. And we've lots of big circulating spaces in the school that in many ways might be quite dead spaces. We were of the philosophy that school is a place of learning, and therefore all spaces within the school should be spaces where learning can happen. So whether it's inside or outside of the building, we're very happy for teachers to move around, and we would be quite unhappy, I suppose, if teachers stayed within their classroom all day, every day. So you're never going to have the excitement of, can we have lessons outside on a fine day here, because there is as many lessons outside as there are inside the classroom. So I suppose the secret to using all the spaces is that we're mobile in our learning. So again, going back to the idea that we're not tethered to desks because we're using our tablets. So if we want to do some filming outside the classroom, if we want to do a podcast, if we want to just read somewhere else, we just have to bring our tablets with us. For the teacher, they're not tied to the front of the room. If they had a desktop that was wired up, they kind of have to stay around their desktop in lots of ways, or they may feel they have to. But because they have their iPad in their hand, they can be at the back of the room, the front of the room. In fact, we'd love if there was no such thing as the back and front of the room. So one of the ways that we've done that is to put a board on either side of the room to try to confuse and blur the issue as to where the front and the back of the room is. So the technology really facilitates that kind of mobility. When we started to look then a little bit more at the idea of innovative learning spaces, and we've been lucky enough to link in with a project in Australia, and that have been particularly looking at the work of David Thornburg. And he speaks about learning spaces, 4 different learning spaces. So the idea of the campfire, where you would have lecture style, maybe more traditional style teaching. Some of that is the teacher standing in front of the class, telling them new content. But in a digital era, a lot of that campfire teaching comes from maybe a YouTube video, maybe a TED Talk. It's where you're getting input directly from an expert, not necessarily the teacher, because now, thankfully, we're not the only experts in a room. There are thousands of experts that we can draw on at any given time to address our students. The second learning space is what Thornburg refers to as the watering hole. And watering hole is where we come together and we share our expertise. So the students are working in groups, they're sharing the knowledge that they have, they're teasing things out together, they're investigating, maybe drawing on an expert, but then interpreting it for themselves. So within the classroom, you might have a teacher desk where the campfire teacher explanation is happening. Then you'll see in all our classrooms the desks are in groups, because that's where the watering hole experience is going on, where they're sharing their information. You'll also see in all our classrooms that we have some space where I can get away on my own. So it's a table or a chair, because the whole idea of a cave in learning is really important as well. An awful lot of our learners are introverted, and we can really only internalise the learning when we've had a little bit of time to myself to reflect. And I suppose it's also around the differentiation, that everyone doesn't learn at the same pace, everyone doesn't reflect at the same pace, everyone isn't ready to move on at the same time. So affording a cave space within our pedagogy, sometimes it's physically within our classroom, where I can go off and do maybe some more research, maybe create my own piece of whatever it is I'm going to, whether it's a drawing or a piece of writing or a reflection piece or a movie. But I need to do that on my own. I don't always have to be social in my learning. And those spaces are created within our classroom. And then the last piece of Thornburg's model is life, where all the knowledge that we've acquired through our watering holes and our cave experience and our campfire, we need to apply that in real life. That's in every single class in the school. How is this practically applicable to my real life? But we also wanted to build it into the curriculum. It's one of the core concepts within the digital framework, that we should be going beyond the curriculum and applying the knowledge that we have through the curriculum, but also beyond it. So we've introduced what we call a blue sky modules on Monday morning. We have 20 different workshop style activities happening at that time, and students get to sign up to whichever workshop they want to do for an 8-week period. They're loosely science-based, but they vary from things like car mechanics, to forensic science, to interior design, and the science of hair and beauty. Technology is a very natural part of the life of the school. So obviously technology really supports this. First of all, that they're mixed groups, they're first, second years and transition years. At the very beginning, they use technology to sign up to which of the workshops they want to be part of. And at the end of the workshop, we give a report to the whole school as to what we did in our particular module that we've been part of. A record of our learning has been kept on the iPad, and that's what we use to showcase our particular module. So if you're, for example, in interior design, which is, would take ideas from home economics, from art, from history, from maths, from the technology subjects, we will be bringing all those strands together and we'll be documenting our decision-making process, our research skills, the actual makeover of whichever room that we're making over at that particular time. All of that is documented using technology. This model of looking at the four elements, as Thornbrook describes them, really validates the expert role of teacher, but also the expert role of students and the role of learning within the classroom.